Welcome to China Gateway 360, connecting global businesses with China through insights, opportunities, and trends. Today, we're looking at the Biden administration's July 30th decision to enact a sweeping 90-day import ban on Chinese-made robots. We'll be walking through exactly what this ban entails, the scope of the new restrictions, a critical origin-based rule, how this impacts supply chains, and a practical action plan for manufacturers. Part 1. The sweeping robot ban. For manufacturers relying on robotics produced in China, this is shaping up to be the most consequential supply chain disruption since the semiconductor export controls back in 2023. To really grasp the scale here, consider this number: $4.7 billion. That's the estimated value of U.S. industrial robot imports originating from China projected for 2025. This accounts for roughly 35% of all U.S. industrial robot imports. So the financial stakes for global operations are clearly immense. Part 2. The scope of the restrictions. The U.S. Bureau of Industry and Security didn't just target a handful of items. They've added 12 specific categories of robotics directly to the entity list. You can see the sheer breadth of this restriction here. It covers everything from industrial welding arms to collaborative robots or cobots. It heavily impacts autonomous ground vehicles, which are widely used by European automakers, and even pulls in AI vision software. Basically, if a component falls into one of these categories, it's restricted. Part 3. The origin-based catch. This is where a critical nuance comes into play, making this policy fundamentally different from past restrictions. And here's why. Unlike previous sanctions that targeted specific Chinese brands like Huawei or DJI, this is an origin-based ban. That means the rule applies to any robot manufactured in or shipped from China. It doesn't matter if the brand itself is German, Japanese, or American. If the equipment rolls off a factory floor in China, it's blocked from entering the U.S. This has immediate implications for major global players. ABB, for example, won't be able to ship U.S. orders from its Shanghai factory. Fanuc and KUKA face that exact same hurdle. Even U.S. companies like Teradine are caught in this, which is going to force a lot of immediate supply chain restructuring.
China Gateway. Gateway.
Your gateway to business in China.
Moving to Part 4, Strategic Supply Chain Impacts. What does this mean for the financial reality of foreign businesses operating right now? Essentially, we're looking at a hard supply chain bifurcation. Companies will have to shift their US-bound output to non-China factories. And because alternative manufacturing hubs like Mexico or India often come with higher labor and component costs, we can expect a 20 to 40% cost pass-through for robots heading to the US. At the same time, this deepens technology decoupling, as Chinese manufacturers will likely redirect their output toward Belt and Road markets in Europe. This timeline really illustrates the operational crunch businesses are in. The ban takes effect in just 90 days, landing in late October 2026. But if you look at the lead time for alternative non-China factories, that typically takes 8 to 14 months. So there is a massive gap there, creating an immediate operational risk. For China-only producers, a full relocation could take up to 18 months. Part 5. Action Plan for Manufacturers. With that clock ticking, there are immediate steps companies need to take to mitigate the risk. First, you need to audit your supply chain right away. Because the ban applies at the component level, you have to identify any Chinese subcomponents inside assembled US-bound machinery. Second, start supplier diversification immediately and request lead time analyses for scenarios where Chinese output is entirely blocked. Third, if you rely on spare parts or warranty replacements, you need to file for a BIS license exception right now, before that 90-day window closes. And finally, keep an eye on scope expansion. Analysts expect agricultural and medical robots could be added to this list within the next 6 months. Remember that $4.7 billion figure we looked at earlier? That entire supply chain now faces a 90-day reset window. The key question is whether operations will be ready before time runs out. That's all for this China Gateway 360. Like and comment to receive materials from us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.